How we doing? Good to see everybody. Well, excited for this day. I think every coach at this point is really excited. So we got 17 kids, 10 on offense, 6 on defense, 1 specialist, 6 from the great state of Washington, 8 from California, 2 from Oregon, 1 from Utah. Bunch of these guys played in all-star games. I think this is a really quality crew that, we're excited to get here. I think the most exciting time is when we get them here in the summertime for the first time and really get a run around, see them run around, see them work out. I do think we know a lot about these guys. We've been recruiting a lot of these guys for a long, long period of time. And so we've got to watch just about every game film they played in the last 2 years. And some of them we've got to see play live. But I think we got a good handle on, their skill set and most importantly, the type of guys they are. And I feel very similar to these guys that I have the last couple years to the classes that we signed, which I think is saying a whole heck of a lot. And, I hope I'm not overstating my bounds on that one, because that's pretty good what these kids we've signed the last couple of years have done. But we're really excited to coach them, and really proud of how they went through this recruiting process, because it's getting harder and harder on them for sure. And these kids and their families were really impressive in this whole thing. So glad they're dogs, and I'm glad today's here. Questions?
How does the process change, if at all, when you have a smaller class of 25 or 26 you bring them in?
Yeah, and I don't ever want a class of 25 or 26. I think that's a problem for us. You're always trying to balance your classes out, and it's probably somewhere around, ideally probably in that 18 number, 17 to 20, somewhere in there. I think if you do the math, it's 17, but you bring in 17 aren't making it for 5 years. That's not going to happen. So, maybe you're under the 20 and, 20 range right there, and you go from there. But, you don't want it too small, because then you can't reload and develop depth. So I think this was a decent number. We want to be somewhere around 17 to 20 in an ideal way. And, we've had it as low as over my career, we've had it as low as, maybe 5 or 6 guys, and, didn't really even realize what was going on until it was got ourselves in that situation. And so it's hard to manage, certain guys can't do this thing, aren't good enough, all those different things, leave the NFL early. And so you're always really work in progress with that.
Coach, you're a little bit different in your recruiting philosophy. When a guy commits to you, if he wants to take other visits, you won't necessarily take his commitment. You're pretty good at letting him know to shut down the process.
Yeah.
In the first couple of years, you've been pretty good about guys not taking other visits and staying with their commitment.
Yeah.
That was a little bit not as true this year. What's the difference this year as opposed to the last couple of years?
I think we've had it every year. Every year that I've been a coach, we've had guys take visits. And I always kind of chuckle about this philosophy being different, and I don't think I'm much different than anybody else. I don't think anybody's trying to take reservations to come to school. I'll take a reservation and check it out. There's a few schools say that's fine, commit and go do your thing, but I think most are like us. And all it means is, and we try to slow the process down, don't commit to us unless you've gone and seen everything. But I think when kids start committing earlier, and you get professional salesmen, on them and on them and on them and on them, and this is the first time that they've gone through it, all of a sudden it's well, maybe I need to go check out a different school. So I think the combination of that makes it harder on these kids. But so that's what I think. And we're always going to have that, and it's probably only going to get worse. And so it's a fine line. It's we want your commitment, but you need to make sure that you've gone through the process of really checking every school out that might be on your radar. And then at that point, if you want to commit here, that's awesome, because we want the commitment to mean something. There's different words that mean different things. Commitment is we are committed and we are done in this process.
So that maybe a higher caliber player as well?
Well, I will say this. we recruited guys in this class that had no offers when we started, and when they were done, they had every offer in the country. And so I just think like it was similar back where we came from. We would do the same thing, and then people start paying very close attention. I think our coaches are very good evaluators of talent, and they do a good job of knowing what fits us and developing it. So if a guy gets an offer from us, I think they're going to attract a lot of attention, especially if there's half a year left. Whether it's deserved or not, we know what's coming. And so that's why it's important for us to go through. I'm a more firm believer in how we do things around here recruiting-wise than I've ever been, for sure.
Are you in favor of the earlier signing day, December?
Yeah, I am. I am. It's, it's a little bit earlier, a month or so earlier, I guess, is really all it is. I think maybe in an ideal world, it was before, right at the end of, right at the start of December, before the coaches could get out. Because that's when I think a lot of things change. They get the kids and they put thoughts in their head that they've been so committed for so long, and then that makes it tougher. But it's a little bit of Pandora's box too, because this is going to change things in recruiting dramatically. Some of it we can kind of speculate how this is going to go, and some of it is like, oh, these are the ramifications from this early signing. And hopefully, overall, it's better for the kids and better even for the schools. But I think everybody at this point, it's a long, hard process, and the last couple weeks, in some ways can be ridiculous.
Rich Rodriguez and some others thrown out the idea of not having any signing day.
Yeah.
Could you see the benefits of that?
It's interesting. I remember when he first started talking about that a couple years ago, and at first I'm thinking, no, but you can see some benefits of it. It kind of takes away a little bit of like, you don't need to commit, just sign. That's like done. We're good to go. So, that makes sense in terms of those type of things. But I think at the end of the day, what everybody's trying to do is make sure the kids can get it right for them and their families. And I don't think anybody's in a disagreement with that. It's just like, some of the process that these kids have to endure, it can be tough.
Chris, you talk about how things have changed in the recruiting landscape. How important is it for you to get mid-year commits now? You're doing it more and more, but it seems like a lot of people are front-loading and trying to maybe prioritize guys that can come in early.
Well, I think one thing is you get them here sooner, you don't have to recruit them as long. I think that's a big thing. And certainly it helps the kids to come through and start lifting, and if they can get spring ball, that's really a good thing. But it's not the end of the day. So many of these kids are so developed and come from programs that have really sophisticated schemes that they've seen them before. We're playing all these freshmen that didn't come early. I think it still has to fit the kid and the family to want to leave early, high school early, and come here. And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. It doesn't mean you're not going to play when you get here in the fall.
Chris, you mentioned the phrase professional salesman. Are you talking about your fellow coaches or people unaffiliated with the programs that have the recruits here?
Yeah, I think a little bit of all that. I think a little bit of all that. Yeah.
Is the people unaffiliated becoming an increasing, I don't know if you call it a problem issue or whatever you'd say about it, other than the coaches themselves?
Yeah, it's different than it was a handful of years ago, for sure, in terms of you just dealt with high school coaches, and nowadays there's more people that, have these kids' ears and are in them with this process that go along in the recruiting process with them. So yeah, it's just different, and our job as coaches is to, continually change with the times and, stay true to who we are. And that's the whole thing of our program. We're going to continue, evaluate, develop, change, tweak, try to stay on the cutting edge of everything we do with staying true to who we are. And so that's kind of a little bit of the uniqueness and the excitingness of being a college football coach, not only the football part of things, but recruiting as well. It's always changing. And how do we stay there and get the kids that we really feel like are the OKGs?
The notion of decommitting used to be occasional.
Yeah.
Now it seems to be a little bit trendy. What factors?
Well, I think that's what we were talking about a little bit. I think sometimes these kids commit so far out in advance And then there's a lot of times where guys are just, continually, in their ear. And then maybe after a while, it's like, well, maybe I need to go check this place out. And I think the pressure on these kids is tremendous, with just all the things they hear and those type of things. So, I think it's something that, everybody's trying to figure out how to make the process better for everybody involved.
How disappointing is it when decommitment happens so late in the process, and how challenging is that?
Yeah, and so, that's one of the beauties of kids not figuring out a year in advance, but a couple months, you still got your board. I think those, kids changing their minds today or, a week ago, certainly that's tougher to adjust and go that direction. But I have this there's a few things that I really believe strongly in terms of football and recruiting and all those things, and I'll never get away from them. One of it is we never worry about the kids that don't come here. That has nothing to do with the success of our program. And I know everybody else, this guy, I just laugh at some of the stars some of these guys have when 4 months ago they were not even on anybody's radar. And so that has nothing to do with our program. What has everything to do with our program, how good we're going to be? These guys better be able to play. When we don't miss on these guys, that's everything. The guys that don't come here, that has nothing to do with nothing, because I've tracked it for a lot of times and a lot of years, and it's just amazing how that has so little effect on anything that we're doing here.
The success you guys had last fall, did you notice a better reception, a change in reception you guys are getting out there? And so many of these guys, like you said, you've obviously been in on for a year or two, but as you even look forward to...
I think when we came here and we got Buddha and his crew and we got the next crew, people can say whatever they want. We know who we want in our program and we know what we can do with them. And I think the results of this year spoke loud. I think we feel similar about these guys.
Coach, I'm going to try to get you to give a blurb on each one of these kids, but could you maybe start off with the
Yeah, and I don't really have that because I don't know. You know more. You've watched more. You've watched as much tape as anyone has. So, they wouldn't be on this paper if we didn't feel really strongly about them. Like I said.
The story behind your punters signing his letter.
Yeah. I think Bob Gregory, told him and said, hey, sign the letter and, take a picture so we can put it out there and see it. And he kind of took it from there. And I did ask him, I said, what? And he goes, yeah, well, I was going to first start with them all in the barn, and that we didn't all fit in there. So we went out to a field and took a picture. And I said, well, it's one of the greatest pictures that we've ever seen in recruiting. So I don't know if you know that, but it'll only go in the Hall of Fame.
Pete, it looks like you've kind of honed in on this formula for a quarterback, a Northern California kid named Jake.
Yeah, that might be a problem, actually. We're excited about, Jake Hainer for sure. And we've been around him. We've had a chance to see him throw, a few different times in our camps and other camps and those type of things. And, we're excited.
You talked about your prerequisites for a quarterback in terms of the accuracy and the ability to make good decisions. Over time, and as you've now are working in the Pac-12, have you started to supplement that with some other things that fit into it, or is it strictly just those two things?
It's not just those two things. It's the most complicated position in all of sports, but it's only some things that we can latch on to, to recruit kids and all that. And I don't know. It's just interesting. It's as we're talking about things changing and having to continually adapt with the times. And I still go back to things we've believed in for a long time, many years, whether it's quarterback play with how we're going to recruit OKGs, how we're going to develop culture within our locker room, within our staff. It's the crazier things get and the more they change, there's still certain things that you just go back to. And I think the same thing at quarterback. Nothing is, taking us a different direction.
How much do you think individual games have on, landing or not landing a recruit, whether it's deciding between two schools and you guys go at it with that school and give it a career along. In your experiences, can one game have an effect on who?
Oh, one game?
Yeah.
No. You know what? I don't. And I'm always even kind of amazed too. Sometimes, I mean, we had so many good seasons in the past, and that matters, that adds up. But, you know, we've recruited a lot of kids that have gone other places where I'm thinking, that program's not doing anything, you know? So that's a factor for sure. Kids want to go where they think they can win, but I don't think any one game has anything to do with anything.
Chris, Taylor Rapp came in last year relatively unheralded, and we talked about him all year long.
We can talk about a lot of guys like that.
Yeah. Is there a kid on this list who you say, just maybe as far as preparation goes, you feel like might be in that position?
No, I can't say that because we didn't know that about Taylor Rapp. I mean, I feel great about all these guys. I mean, I could make a case for all those guys, but I don't know until they get here. I mean, I really don't. It's just not fair to say. That's why I don't want to. I mean, they're not going to be on this list unless they're big-time players, in our opinion, and have a chance to have a really, really big upside. But, you know, we felt great about Taylor. Just sitting here like this, you know, a year ago, and until you get them out there in ball and see them go through some hard things and how fast they pick this stuff up and then what their instincts are all about, till you actually know that when they're with you, it's just really hard to know. So I just, you know, it's very hard for me to sit here and say, oh my gosh, this guy from Juanita High School, oh my gosh, you guys haven't seen anything, you know. And Savon, we think, is as good as anything we've been around. But it's like, let's just let them get here. They got enough expectations on them already just signing with us. So, you know, we're thrilled with these guys. But we'll just see when they get here. And everybody's development and maturation is at a different time than the next guy.
Given his background, was there any surprise on your part that Elijah Molden was as receptive to Washington once you guys started recruiting him?
Yeah, you know, I mean, certain guys have, you know, big-time ties, and, you know, sometimes they grow up for a long period of time, and, you know, that's part of the process to see, like, yeah, we might like a guy, or a guy might really like us. It's got to be mutual, and we knew that there would be some interest, probably from just past history with the family. But that's what the whole recruiting process is about, you know. I mean, I can't tell you how many kids end up going different places. They think all along that, hey, my school's this school, and then when they do the process right, you know, the fits are kind of different in terms of what they're really looking for. And I mean, we feel so great about Elijah, just in terms of, like, that's what I think about, you know. I know you guys want to talk about all this talent and what they're going to be like. They wouldn't be on this list if they weren't talented. Where I really get excited at this point is, like, I just think these guys fit us, and they fit the culture that we're all about. They're really good kids. I mean, Elijah Molden is, you know, every time we come, whether he was up here or we go down to a, you know, home visit with him, you just walk out of there going, this is the kind of kids that we want to coach. This is who we want to be around. And, you know, fortunately for us, he felt the same on their side in terms of the school, let alone the football part of things.
Any other additions?
You never know. We're never done. We're always working. So we'll see.
You got 3 pretty highly regarded receivers in this class and 2 tight ends that look like they can help in the pass game too. Is that something you guys are obviously, seems like you prioritize in this class?
Yeah, we want to get 3 receivers in this class. You know, we always kind of have a number. But we're not going to take guys just to fill spots. We will not do that. I mean, I think people will be surprised at how diligent we are at that, and maybe some guys that we've passed on for one reason or another. But we wanted to take 3 if we could find the right 3, and feel really good about those guys. And I think Bush Hamlin's done a great job really finding the guys that we think are going to fit our system. And, you know, that'll be an interesting crew.
A nice blend with the 6'4" guy, the fast guy, and then more kind of all around.
I think that's always like at that receiver position. I think that a lot of times at the tight end position as well. You know, you got to kind of mix and match the group because of the different things that we do. And, you know, some guys big, strong, can block, and some guys can run faster, and some guys are, you know, so I think we're always trying to do that. And I think that's a really unique group.
Are there any guys in this list that you could immediately talk about a possibility of being a two-way player? Maybe
Two-way?
in the sense of a Buddha or a John Ross or something like that?
Well, everybody, you got to recruit them. They got to, we're not going to recruit a guy at this position and then move. That kind of messes our numbers. So we always slot them in there. Like Savon, I know a lot of people talked about him as a DB as well. But we've kind of thought all along at that running back position. And a guy like that, we really try to push them to ask them that where their heart is. And sometimes we got to push hard to figure out, because I think, you can make a case on either side of the ball for him, but we need to start him somewhere to get him going. And, I think in his heart, push come to shove, he'd like to be a running back, which is awesome for us.
After the weekend of the conference championship and making the playoff field, did the reception change among high school coaches for you?
I don't think so. I know everybody'd like to say, hey, we, won some games and got to a semifinal and it all changed. It's just like, I just really didn't really feel, I've never felt that. I've just always felt like we have really good relationships with these high school coaches in the West. That's primarily where we're recruiting. And it's kind of always been the same for us in terms of, we just have a lot of relationships. And so I didn't really feel like being treated any different. I felt like we've always been treated really good by so many of these high school coaches, and a lot of them know what we're all about, and so they know if they think a kid fits us or not, academically, athletically, culturally, all those things.
With the offensive line, you obviously had a couple guards graduate. What was the game plan in mind when you picked up these three particular guys?
Yeah, sometimes, I think like in that offensive line position, depending on your numbers, I think for us, you're kind of always going with that 3 number, It's not going to happen every year. Again, we might be over there or we need another number somewhere else. It might even be on defense. But if everything's maybe how we hoped it would, you take 3 offensive linemen, and then it's just a matter of, are we trying to get 2 tackles? Are we trying to get 2 inside guys, or are we just trying to take the best players? And that's always kind of what we're working all along as we go. So we might say, hey, we want 2 inside guys, but you know what? Our best players are 2 outside guys. Let's go with that. So it's a combination of those things. It varies from year to year.
And with legacy recruits, do you have to approach them in a different way, or do you just try to recruit them the same as you would any other player?
No, it's exactly the same. Yeah, it really is. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that's not a good thing. It's about them, Their dad already did his thing, so it's about him. And, I think it's kind of cool if it all works out, but that really, it should be about the kid, not the dad.
Looking ahead, you've got a couple commits already for next year's class. Speaking generically,
Yeah.
Getting a quarterback so early in the process, how does that set things up for a class? Is that important? Is that beneficial?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can talk about that, the specifics of that right there. It's just ongoing, this whole recruiting process, and it changes as it goes, and yeah.
Time for a couple more. Aside from the guys who declared for the draft, has there been any personnel changes? You guys are since.
Nope. Everybody's back at it, working hard, and those guys that go into the draft are often somewhere sunny, some sunny spot, working hard too.
How's Jake Browning doing?
Jake's good. Jake's doing really good. He just had a minor procedure. It really was. It wasn't like we were in the season and said this guy's going to have something done after the season. It was after the season, kept looking at it. Doctors thought, if we do this one little thing, that might help him down the road. So he's doing really good.
Expect him for spring ball?
He will. We've already had a plan that, Jake is one of those guys that just loves to throw and throw and throw. And so from really when he got here, we've been trying to back him off just these long years to make sure And so he should be fine for spring ball. But we also really want to get some of these other guys some really good work in spring ball.
Good.
Yeah.